Aster smirked and casually gave up, showing clear admiration for Gurion. He acknowledged that Gurion had planned everything far better than he had expected. Vigor stood there in complete shock. Gurion responded with a confident grin, focusing on identifying the situation. At that moment, Aster suddenly bent down and slipped past the tip of Vigor's sword, catching him off guard. Before Vigor could react, Aster wasted no time and delivered a powerful kick straight into his stomach, sending him flying backward. Vigor coughed and groaned in pain as his sword flew out of his hand and into the air. Aster's body then released a strong red aura, radiating intense energy and power. Without hesitation, he grabbed Vigor's sword midair and, with a single strike, took down multiple opponents at once. Everyone present was left stunned by what they had just witnessed. Seeing multiple opponents fall at once from a single slash, Gurion was left completely shocked. Aster then raised the sword and pointed it toward Gurion, declaring that despite everything, Gurion had made a mistake by standing in front of him. He made it clear that by interfering, Gurion was now destined to lose. Filled with anger, Gurion cursed him and reacted fiercely. At that moment, a red aura burst out from Aster's feet as he leaped forward. Gurion was stunned, unable to comprehend how Aster had flown all the way there. Aster fixed him with a cold glare and stated that Gurion was too slow. Gurion quickly tried to block the incoming attack with his sword, but the impact shattered his blade instantly. The strike also landed directly on Gurion's stomach, dealing heavy damage. As the clash unfolded, Aster recalled the moment he had first flown. He reflected that it was not that he lacked the ability before, but that he could now truly feel it. He understood the overwhelming sensation of omnipotence that came with manipulating magic. With a deadly glare, Aster grabbed Gurion by the collar and spoke about how having wings felt incredible. He pointed out that what once seemed massive, like a towering wall, now felt insignificant to him. Gurion, filled with fear, tried to stop him. Aster raised his sword to finish him, and Gurion froze in terror. Aster then smirked, emphasizing that everything now seemed small in comparison. In the next instant, Aster launched his attack, and a massive explosion erupted at the scene. From a distance, Vigor and his companions watched in shock and terror. Vigor struggled to comprehend the scale of the battle and what had just happened between the two. One of Vigor's friends then urged him to look ahead. As Vigor focused on the scene in front of him, he was left stunned. The fog slowly cleared, revealing Aster dragging Gurion across the ground as he approached. Aster dragged Gurion across the ground in front of everyone and threw him down without mercy. Gurion groaned in pain, coughing heavily as the impact shook his body, and he expressed that it hurt. Despite his condition, he lashed out at the others, demanding to know what they were doing standing there like idiots. He urged them to hurry up and kill this man, declaring it as an order that had to be carried out before the Elmheim family. Hearing those words, Vigor moved quickly to retrieve his sword. Driven by urgency and fear, Aster, however, remained cold and composed, questioning whether Vigor was truly that afraid of Elmheim's retaliation. In response, Vigor shouted as he gripped his sword, admitting that of course he was afraid. He explained that he came from the Smite family, a third-rate noble house so insignificant that it could disappear in an instant. If Elmheim truly set his mind to it, their entire existence could be crushed effortlessly. Vigor continued, revealing the harsh reality that weak nobles like them had to endure just to survive in such a world. He acknowledged that it might seem cowardly, but insisted that all they could do was behave docilely and avoid angering those above them. He pointed out that someone like Aster, who possessed everything, would never understand their fear and desperation. Aster remained silent for a moment after hearing this, then suddenly began to laugh. The unexpected reaction enraged Vigor, who demanded to know what Aster found so amusing. Still smiling, Aster recalled something his sister had once said to him, mentioning that she had told him he could never understand the feelings of those who had nothing. Reflecting on those words, Aster admitted that he had his own objections, yet he could not deny the truth in them. He acknowledged that he was now someone with privilege, and precisely because of that, there were things that only he could do, things beyond the reach of those bound by fear and weakness. With that realization, Aster raised his sword and pointed it at Gurion's neck. Gurion was visibly terrified, frozen under the blade. In that tense moment, Aster declared with fierce intensity that his true enemy was Elmheim. He made it clear that others could not bring change, but he would. He vowed that just like Elmheim, arrogant and prepotent, he would rise to crush it. His voice roared with the force of a lion, echoing his resolve to change everything. Aster's words struck everyone like a sudden thunderclap, leaving them completely shocked and frozen in place. Gurion, trembling with fear and disbelief, demanded to know what Aster was talking about, unable to grasp the meaning behind such bold claims. Vigor, equally shaken, stepped forward in confusion and anger, questioning whether Aster truly understood what he was saying. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on everyone as they waited for clarity. In response, Aster calmly affirmed it, declaring that it was nothing less than a declaration of war. He continued, explaining that no matter how docile and worshipful people might be toward the current arrogant Elmheim, the end of such blind devotion would only lead to treason and a miserable death. He emphasized that if they did not desire such a fate, then the only path left for them was to fight. With unwavering confidence, he spoke of the 7 wings he carried on his back, declaring them to be a power meant precisely for that purpose. Aster then turned his gaze toward the others and urged them to choose. He asked them which Elmheim they would follow, Ilo, or himself. His words hung heavily in the air, deepening the silence as everyone stood stunned, unable to respond. Gurion suddenly erupted in rage, shouting that Aster was speaking nonsense. He insisted that something like this could never be allowed. With fury burning in his eyes, he warned them that he remembered all their faces and names, daring them to betray him. He reminded them that they already knew what would happen if they did, making the threat clear and terrifying. Those words only added to the shock spreading among the group, as fear and uncertainty gripped them even tighter. Then, in a sudden burst of movement, Gurion rushed forward and grabbed the blue flag. With desperation and anger in his voice, he questioned whether Aster was truly capable of defeating him. He accused Aster of merely deluding them, warning that if nothing changed in the end, he would hold him in complete disdain. Aster, however, remained steady and responded with calm assurance, stating that he would promise it. In that decisive moment, Vigor stepped forward and raised the blue flag high. With firm resolve, he declared himself as Vigor Smite, the eldest son of House Smite, and pledged his support to Aster F. Elmheim. His voice carried conviction, marking a turning point that no one could ignore. Vigor's friends stood in shock, murmuring among themselves in disbelief. They could hardly believe that he had truly said it out loud. Yet at the same time, they realized that with this single act, Gurion's entire plan was beginning to fall apart. Gurion clenched his teeth tightly, his anger boiling over as he glared at Vigor. Overcome with rage, he cursed him as a damned peasant,